And welcome everyone. It is John the Net Guy. It's a chill and build live stream. Paul, you are the first person in here. I gotta announce that real quick. He says, "Hey there, awesome to have you, Paul." This is John the Net Guy. It is Tuesday night. Normally, I do a show. I've got some Amazon links and whatnot, and I'm kind of gagged as to what I can speak about and say to you, and even the beverages that I'm allowed to have on the show. So I wanted to do something a little bit different this week. I'm actually going to be doing a full gaming PC build tonight. So if you want to follow the instructions, you can build the same PC that I'm building. Take a look at the video description. There's some links to where you can get these. But if you follow those same instructions, you can build this gaming PC yourself. So all the parts here that you see are what's going to go in it, including a very large case that's down here, the Neso P1. Now, Gamdias asked me, they said, "Hey, do you want to check out this new case?" And I started looking at the pictures, and talk about drool factory. Man, this thing is awesome. It has got a very O11 dynamic feel. Some people are comparing it to the Height Y60, but it's different than all those. And we're going to talk about why it is today. I do want to thank our sponsor today, Gamdias, for sending all of these parts out. They did not pay for this stream, but I said I want to do a stream anyway, just because he sent quite a few parts out here. They're also sent an extra fan kit. So you get something for watching this. I am going to show the link real quick here. Now, I'm going to try to keep this link up as much as I can throughout the show, but I do have to shut it off towards the end because I got to do some accounting to make sure that we get this closed and wrapped up and we do the drawing before the end of the show. I'll guarantee you we'll do that drawing around 6:15 Pacific. So about 45 minutes from now, wherever we're at in the show, I'm going to do that drawing real quick. It's probably right when we're putting these fans in, actually. So I'll do that. But you can get this 4-pack of fans. And what's cool about this fan 4-pack is that it actually has its own controller. So you can motherboard control it if you want. You can link it to all your other stuff. But this is their M3 fans. Let me show you what those look like. Oh, yeah. And I still got all the cool gizmos here. So this is the fan kit. It has got a different style. It's not white fan blades. They're actually a different style of fan blade. They're black fan blades, but they've got a colored ring all the way around the outside. They're both addressable in PWM, and the controller supports it both. Even if you don't have that on maybe your Optiplex builds, you can use this kit with it. It only takes a SATA power connector. There's 4 fans in here and a controller, and we're going to be doing a ton of those today. I am going to take a quick look real quick. That's 2 clicks in a row. And your church music pre-show. Yeah, that is the organ music. Thanks, PC Tech Hustle. Thank you guys for checking in. It's been a long time since I've done a continuous live stream. You might notice some changes. I do hint some things on Twitter if you want to follow me there. I can't tell you to do that normally, so there is that. And we're already entered. People are already entering, so I'm going to go ahead and put the giveaway down below for the people that are just tuning in. Again, you can visit thenetguy.com/fan. If you do want to check out my Amazon shop, I would appreciate that. That's awesome. I make a very small single-digit commission on the items that are sold there, and that also helps support this channel. And again, places like Gamdias, when I had 500 subscribers, they sent me my first case, the Talos M1, I think it was. And what a great case that was. I did some cool builds inside of it. I think I even did an Optiplex flip into it. And then, they've been a great sponsor throughout. And whenever they come up with something cool and new, they usually send it out, and it usually has RGB. So I do want to show you real quick. I've got a couple other camera angles, some other things. Forgive me if it takes me a sec to get used to this new studio, because I'm trying a few new things out. One of them, if I switch to this view, may work. There we go. I got a little portable view. You can thank Nerd on a Budget. So this is what those fans look like. Remember I told you they're not a translucent white fan? So this is actually their P3 240 millimeter and their 4-fan kit in this other kind of Lian Li knockoff that I showed you guys before. But take a look at this AIO cooler. This thing literally has an animated LED that you can see there. So it's got a little animated LED screen. You can put your stats. You can put a whole bunch of cool stuff in there. And again, it is controllable via motherboard or the controller that they provide. So we may switch over to this view occasionally if we want to do that during our build. That's going to be a new thing that we've never done before, and we're already going to see some stuff. So let's go take a quick look and see Jonathan says that looks sick. Absolutely, my friend, it does. And we hopefully, when we get this new case going, we'll talk about that. I am going to do some quick part unboxings just so you can kind of see what we're doing as we go. I have tested out the machine. I always do that before the show just in case we get a bad part. Could have been a bad motherboard. Who knows? Just to make sure that's working. Also did pick up a Kratos M1 600 watt power supply. 600 watts is probably on your budget build side, but I had never used this power supply. I've used their 750 and it was great. So I'm not going to put an enormous GPU in this thing because I want to have a little bit of power room, but we'll talk about power when we get there. We've got the fan kit we talked about. We've got a Z690 motherboard. Also have this HP. Now this is kind of a funny one. Let me show you guys this. I was talking to some of my creator friends and I was complaining about the lack of really good NVMEs right now. Prices on NVMEs are great. Performance is kind of hit and miss, right? So that's very interesting. So I picked up this HP and we'll talk about it when we go to install all this stuff. But what's interesting about that, 5-year warranty, and who's going to see what your NVMe says on the outside? So yeah, it's not a Samsung, it's not something else. So that's another interesting part, and it seems to work really well. Maybe we'll check it out if we have time. Going to go with the Team Force T-Force RAM here. Yep. So we've got the T-Force Vulkan memory from Team Group. Sorry. There we go. And this stuff, the ones that I've got in here are actually the 4,000 mega transfers. This is 3,200 that I have for another project. And lastly, what are we putting in to run this thing? Probably one of your best budget CPUs right now, the 12600 and the 12700. Honestly, the 12600 is really, really close to the 12700 when it comes to, efficiency cores versus regular cores. Both of them are going to game incredibly well, and the price is dropping like a rock on the Intel 12th gen. So if you can pick those up, you're going to get an insane deal on there. This setup is flashy. That's what I worry about. I'd love to see some more static colors. Hey, you know what I'm going to do for you guys if you're on your best behavior, and mods will do this? I'm going to just throw up the chat on the side if you don't mind. One of my friends says that, and they tend to like that. Maybe it inspires you guys to join the chat if you're watching on any of these other services. There we go. There's another creator, Pinky Tech. Take a look at his channel on YouTube. He's getting really, really close to 5 million subscribers. I think that's what the number is. It's really close. But he did just have an anniversary recently. So I'm going to move some of these things around. We're going to pull up the case. And as I show it to you and we walk through it together, you're going to see all the neat stuff about it. I actually did an unboxing of it the other day, and the box took up my whole studio. I've got a very small studio here to work in, so it was pretty fun. I'm going to move this stuff down to the side. Oh, yeah, both Pinky's saying that the 12600 and 12700 are on sale right now. Is that on Amazon? Let's see. Hopefully you can say that. 12600 under $180. You'll have to tell me the exact number of cores. It's probably on the box, but on that versus efficiency cores. I think that the 700 has a couple maybe extra efficiency cores, things that you probably wouldn't use anyway, to be honest. So, okay, I'm going to pull the Neso P1 up here. Now, I just happen to have the red version. Now, I actually took off the peel, and I didn't get to do the cool ASMR peel on this one. But take a look at that. Now, it looks like a rectangle, but hopefully if I can show it to you guys without getting too many fingerprints or dropping it, it's actually not. You can see it's kind of trapezoidal, I guess. So it's actually designed to be shown in two different ways. So it can sit like this, which looks really cool, or you can actually set it like this. Now you're getting some reflection of what I see, but let's do it this way. Or you can set it like this. Now you can move the feet to the bottom so it gets some more airflow and gets that up. But this has got a ton of cool stuff. One, push button hinged glass. So some of the other ones do have removable glass, but if you're kind of like me and you're constantly dropping GPUs in or losing screws, I just lost some screws the other day and I was like, oh no, I had to go to the spare screw kit. But yeah, this thing, what's nice about it is you don't have to worry about any screws there unless you're taking it off completely, and a simple push button to keep it from opening and closing on its own. Another interesting thing about it, it is massive as far as the interior volume. I'm going to open this side, and we're going to go to the side camera just so you can see what's in this case or lack thereof in this case. But it's actually enormous, as you can see here. This is the size of my hand, and I can literally hold it sideways and still put the cover on. There's probably a good 3.5 inches of depth here, which is awesome. It does have these removable drive trays. Oh, I've got one loose already, it looks like here. So I could pull those drive trays out, put a drive in, slide it in here. That's another thing if you're going to do some sort of, unraid system and you need some drive space. There are drive slots on the back side here that you can attach, and there's also these slots here. If you're going with 2.5-inch drives, you'll get a ton more of those in here as well. Cable management room, yep. Jonathan Talks Hardware is keeping me honest. He's got another great channel. If you haven't checked his channel out, another one to check out. He actually John, I saw your 15 Pro Max unboxing, and I haven't got to watch it yet. I just saw that pop up before I went live, so I'll take a look at that. But if you're interested in those, he has a 15 Pro Max unbox video. This is their Type-C header here, which is really important. So, the new motherboard that I have has a 20 gigabyte per second USB 3.2.2, whatever they are. Ultimately, Type-C is taken over. This goes to the front Type-C header, which I love. Some of the other cases that I really like out there don't have Type-C on the front, so I can't use, some of my memory or some of my portable memory sticks and things like that have gone to Type-C. So, looks like 10-core, 16-thread, he says, which is awesome. So it should be good. The power supply mount in here is both huge and a little different for me. It's a vertical mount on the power supply, so it's going to sandwich it in. It's going to use a regular full-size ATX power supply. It's not going to be a shrunk down SFX or anything crazy like this, especially on a system this big. Now, what's interesting is the Kratos M1 power supply that I got from Gamdias to put in this. I actually paid for that one. The one I purchased there it's not going to be modular, so it's going to have all those cables, which to me doesn't bother me because they're all going to be hidden back here, and with 3.5 inches of cable management, I'm going to be in great shape. Standard USB 3 and front panel audio, so we got all that. But you can see tons and tons of room in here. I can see 120 millimeter and 140 millimeter fan mount holes that are already drilled, and tons of pass-through and airflow for your motherboard. There's also this garage down below, I'm going to call it, which doesn't necessarily mount fans on the bottom, but it looks like you could totally get those in there. I see some holes for some fan mounts, but they're not going to be as visible, so they would actually go underneath. So those you might not want to put your RGB fans on, or you may want to install them in a way that you can still see them. So taking a look at the back, if you're just tuning in, it's a live stream right now. We're taking a look at the Neso P1 from Gamdias. I was just showing off some of the features of the back side of the case here. Now, I don't even know where to go next on this thing. It is so massive. I'm just looking around. If there's anything else I didn't tell you about, the feet that are on the bottom are removable and can come off here and can go on the back, which then becomes the bottom. So you can pop these out and you can put the feet onto here, and they actually have covers, additional set of covers to go there. Another interesting thing on this one, and I'll go back to the side camera for you, completely removable screen mesh here. So this is their magnetic mesh, but do you see the size of this thing? This is bigger than I think it's bigger than the entire other PC that I have back here. Is just the screen, just to give you a dimensional size here. I'm going to make sure I get that in, and it is directional, if I remember right. There it is. Okay, so that's going to fit in. But yeah, that's another interesting thing about this mesh cover, and I'm going to get the magnets down, is it is removable, cleanable. Again, with a case this size, you're going to have a lot of dust and a lot of airflow coming through here, so you're going to want to have the ability to clean it, which there is. The one thing I would say that would be beneficial, other than an up arrow, on this case, and I noticed this on the back, is it's very quickly removable for this backside, but it is only press in fit. So that's one thing I noticed is there is no retention screw. Looks like there's a hole for it, and you could probably put that in. Maybe I took it out when I was doing it the first time, but yeah, maybe if I go find an extra screw in here, that's what happened. I had to have this thing popped off on me before, so that's probably my bad in there that I didn't reattach that. Taking a look into the chats here, make sure I didn't miss anything. The vacuum will find the screws for you. Yes, I actually have a screw that just fell down over there. It's a little washer that goes to my other AIO, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to vacuum that because it's dark color carpet in here, and dark color screws, they don't go well together. So let me put this thing off to the side. Can I even do an unboxing of the other parts with this thing here? I kind of want to, just so you guys can see it here. We're going to do another quick unbox, and I'll show you how I set up a motherboard real quick. So, get these out. Let me know if you guys like having the chat on the side or if it's distracting because you got the live chat down below anyway, and I can turn the chat off. But just thought you guys might like to see who else is talking in here. These guys add a ton of brains and value to this. So we're going to go top-down view. So this is a motherboard, and I actually got it on a steal. I think it was a Newegg combo. And what was funny about that is with this Newegg combo, I think I got the 12600. I think I got the Z690, or it was a 12700. I got DDR5 memory with it, which wouldn't even work with it. I'm like, why would you send me this board with DDR5? This board is a DDR4 only board. It is a couple cool things about it. It is a PCI Gen 5, so it does have the Gen 5 PCI Express 16X slot. It's 128 gigabytes per second of throughput. It's a 12 gen LGA 1700 socket. It's not going to do your 13th gen. So if you want something that does 13th gen, you're going to have to go higher up. It looks like it does 4 DIMMs up to DDR4 4800 overclocked. So we have 4000 memory that's going to be in it. It does have, as I mentioned, a couple neat things about it. I plugged it into my network. I'm 2.5 gig now over here, and it absolutely went to 2.5 gig auto trained, which was cool. It does have that front panel USB that we talked about, and it was good. Would rather have the chat in the YouTube panels. Honestly, I don't care, so I can see on camera. Okay, we're going to take the chat back to the side panel. If you do want to see those folks and chat with them, they're in the YouTube chats, and they're also on the Facebook chat as well right now if you want to join in. Okay, a couple other cool things. It does have the fancy 13 power phase design. The neat thing here is that the fan, when it's blowing on this, whether it's going to be the back fan on the case or whatever, is going to cool this off, and it has a fairly large heat sink on the motherboard. As far as I/O, they could add 20 USB ports and I would still use them. I sent a picture on Twitter earlier of the studio, and you'll see I've got splitters and USB hubs and craziness all over the studio to try to get more USB. So can always use more of that, and then it has the Type-C header there. So let's go ahead and do a quick unbox of it, and you're going to see there's not much going on here. There's a couple things already installed, which we'll talk about. This is the protective cover that comes over your socket, because the socket in the 12th gen here, the LGA, has the pins on the bottom. Whereas your Ryzen CPUs, you're always shopping for your used Ryzen boards, and that didn't matter so much because it had a ZIF socket. But the Ryzen chips, you always had to worry about bent pins on those. And actually, a couple of the creators in here showed me some tricks on how to get the CPU out on a Ryzen. But in this case, this is actually going to be a Intel 12th gen. Couple things. I've already put the CPU in, like we mentioned. This is the 12600. I got my T-Force Team Group RAM in here. This is where I put the M.2. It's already installed. Let me see if I can get down there a little bit for you. And we'll see if I can make the focus play along nicely. That looks about right. So this is where I already put the M.2 in there. This is the 16X slot that they're talking about with the armor on it as well. 2 more slots and then another slot. This M.2 is Wi-Fi only here, and this one is Gen 4. I believe the Hyper M2 is Gen 4 also. But just crazy amount of throughput on the I/O on this ASRock board. So let me know what you think about it. It definitely has the 4 memory slots, which is the thing I worry about. It definitely has the faster networking, which I also like too. That's another nice thing to have built into it. Until I got 2.5 gig, I didn't know what I was missing. As far as back I/O goes, pretty limited. Again, 4 USB ports there, 2 extras over here. And when will they get rid of the PS2 connector? Tell me about that. It does have a BIOS clear button. And then in this case, I actually have my mouse and keyboard ready to go. So what I like to do when I'm setting up a new computer is I use the motherboard box. The motherboard box is one of the safest places because you're not going to have anything electrical touching metal objects here. The case box is going to be cardboard, so you're in good shape there. And it's nice before you get everything started in your larger case, just to make sure everything is working normally, because you don't want to get this all put in here, get it all screwed down, and find out your motherboard wasn't working right or some RAM wasn't working right. So very cool to have. Just checking in on the chat one more time. There we go. Oh, Jonathan invited Mr. Nathan. Thank you, Jonathan. And thanks, Mr. Nathan, for showing up. The giveaway for the fan kit is down there. I wish I had like the fan kit somewhere you guys could see it the whole time. I should put one up there. How's that? So that's the fan kit you guys are playing for here. And there is no cost to enter. The rules are on the sign up page. So if you go to that sign up page, it'll have all the official contest rules that YouTube requires. So let's get this started here. I'm going to need a power supply. So this is my Kratos M1. Now I mentioned to you guys this one before already. So this one is not a modular, but the price on this isn't bad at all. If you look at power supply prices, they went absolutely crazy during COVID, and they haven't really come back down, especially in the higher ranges. This is a 600 watts, so better than 500, but it's not a 750, which is a lot of the cards. So this is probably going to handle your mid to lower tier cards. But if you guys take a look at those power supply calculators online, I bet you would probably not even hit 450 with what this whole build is set up, maybe even 300. So the 600 gives us plenty of buffer on there. I'm going to take this off. Now, CPU cooler wise and everything, I don't have that set up yet, and that's going to take a lot to actually get unboxed, but I'll get that going as well. So this is all of your power connectors, and I'm going to leave those off as well because I don't know on this AIO how much room we're going to need. I'm going to leave some of the other stuff off. So we're pretty close to where we want to be. Memory's installed, SSD's installed. We're going to do the CPU cooler next, just so we have the room on there. Nathan, already talking on the chat. Nope, air-cooled builds. I like your PC in the background. Yeah, we were showing that off a little bit earlier. That is the Gamdias M3 fan kits. That's actually the fan kit that you see here. That's all the style of those fans that are in that PC. So you get to do that. There's a whole bunch of other cool different color options that you can do as well. So let me pull up this. We're going to do an unbox of this separately, and I'll put the motherboard out of the way for a second. Thank you guys for tuning in. I realize that fall is here because it is raining all the time now. So this is from Gamdias, the Chion M3, or sorry, I got to do this over again. This is from Gamdias. This is the Chion P2 360R. Now they've got lots of letters, lots of numbers to remember, but as long as you think of the generational, the numbers, P2, M1, M3. So this one is second generation fans. So you're going to see the difference on the fans versus the M3 fans. We'll do an unbox here. This is going to be a 360 millimeter. This is going to be way overkill on cooling. But if you did want to do a 12900 or anything, this would support it. It supports the LGA 1700 chipset. So there you go. Let's take a look from the top down, and we'll see what we get in here. One of the most important things, and I'm looking for it real quick, is a manual because all of these are different, and this can be a challenge. So we'll get the bags all out. That is actually the control box there. There we go. So there is the actual plate, and I'm going to go back a little bit for you guys so you guys can see a little bit more of what's going on there. So that's the copper plate on the pump, and so you can see this one does not have a fan. So on their P3 one, the next gen one with the LCD, it does have a fan, but it does have a Gamdias logo inside here, which we're going to be able to see. It's going to have 1, 2, 3 fans. So we got that, and I'm looking to see if I just skip the instructions, because that would be no fun if I did that. I did just open that thing from new. So Hopefully I didn't drop the instructions out. Uh-oh. Maybe downloading the instructions off of this one. Did I get one with no instructions? Uh-oh. Okay, well, let me double check now. I might have to go to their website and download this. While I'm doing that, let me go back here. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what the case looks like, because I just had that queued up. It just happened to be there on that page. So that is the Neso BR, the P1BR, and that's the black and red version. So you can see some of the pictures of it right now. And then if we go back up here and we go down to the Neso, you can see all of the other. So white on white, black on white, their white case, and the blackout complete, the P1B and the BR. So they sent me the red and black, which I think looks amazing. It's a completely different style than I'm used to. But if you wanted to do an all white look, this is a pretty cool looking case there. And yeah, I just did a white GPU video for Sapphire. So, that would be an amazing looking little case to put together. So I'm going to go back here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to download the fan instructions. Go to downloads, category, coolers, select product, P2. Actually, you know what? I should share this with you guys so you can see. Again, worst case scenario, I can go download right here and we can look at the instructions online. The heck, this is probably better because then you're going to get to see what I see. So there is what's included in the package. There's the controller I was telling you about. There's the whole AIO. The nice thing about the all-in-one, the AIO is what it stands for, radiator cooler, is you don't have to cut any pipes. You don't have to worry about any coolant leaks. You don't have to do anything like that. It's all there. This one has a built-in control box here. So that control box works with the remote. It's already prepared. And then you have this number F, which is your different connectors for your different motherboard RGB if you want that, which is pretty slick as well. So coming down here, there's why I did not want to do this solo. So they've got all of the really important stuff in these bags that I've got here, and I'll switch over to that in a second. But yeah, all of these bags contain various different thermal paste, different adapters, and we want to get the right one for our motherboard. If we get the wrong adapters and all that stuff, you get fitment issues. One of the number one things I see when it comes to AIO failures is not the AIO was bad and the pump was bad or anything like that. It didn't make good thermal contact. And I've had that on the show before where, I didn't follow the instructions or I did something upside down. So make sure you follow the instructions very carefully. So we're going to go down to the LGA 1700 section of their instruction manual. Here we go. So it's telling us to be super careful. So we've got part number S, part number R. We're going to place those together. And then we are going to run the screws through. And it's actually telling us if you see the directionality here, that's why it's so important. So I'm just pulling these up here because we want to make sure that those are going the right direction. Good deal. Okay. So I've got those. Those are going to work out. And then they are already, actually, in the case of mine, these are already pre-bedded and ready to go. So I don't have to even do that first assembly step. Looks like they started to do that for you automatically. This is where it's going to go down on top of the pump, but the screws come in from the bottom. Now, this is super important to remember, is to get the direction of the screws right. They won't connect otherwise, or they may not put enough pressure, things like that. So that's super important as well. I'm going to go down here. Now we're looking at part number P, which is actually this right here. I'm going to go bring my little camera so you guys can see it. That's this little square thing. And inside of that, it has different settings. And, there's three click indentations. It's going to be the middle one, it looks like. And that's going to set up where the screws screw into here in a second. So I'm going to set those. Yep. See, I just knocked that completely out. So I'm going to go ahead and recenter that. See, this is where I don't want to drop one of those screws, right? So there we go. So now that's been adjusted. It's ready for my CPU. I've got that set up over there. Let's keep going down here. And we're going to start on the back side of the motherboard. So this is another really interesting thing when we're working on these, is the ability to, install these while it's out of the case, because most all of these are going to be pains to get to the back of the motherboard. Now, in this case, there's a lot of room in the back of the motherboard, but in other cases I've seen, especially the ITX builds, you may not have a chance to touch the back of that motherboard. It's also telling us a direction on these little standoffs. So I'm looking through and I just want to make sure I grab the right standoff. So this is a bag of standoffs that they have here. We don't want that one. That would be for possibly a different model or a different part of the installation. So I'm opening these up. I'll just show you real quick. So there's the little standoff. It's got an insulated side and then it's got just a straight metal side. They want the insulated side down. So we're going to go ahead and put those in shortly. Just going to go down here and make sure I got all the parts that I'm going to be using separated. Now, this is kind of cool. They actually include an adapter. You'll see this. This is common sometimes on just cases where they're putting new standoffs in. In this case, this is for the AIO, and that's for a fairly large head there that we can use with our screwdriver. And we're going to go back down here. Man, I'm going to have to do this. I always look at the instructions and you guys never get to see what I'm doing. So I'm actually going to use this, I think, in the future, go online and just show it. And there's their logo, as you can see on the Gamdias. That's what it looks like when it's installed. There's the memory, and then it looks like they got that installed right side up. And then this is really important to tighten the sequence of the screws properly so you're not pushing your thermal paste out one direction or the other. There's already a little bit of thermal paste on this one. We may or may not clean that up here because it's fresh paste as well. And there we go. And then we're on to the next one. So not too hard to put this thing together. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing on this one and just walk you through the parts as well, just directly here so you can see them. I do need to keep the chat up so I can see what you guys are saying. Awesome. Nathan says, I gave you a sub. If you guys remember and you're here for the first time, go ahead and hit the sub button. That would be just awesome. I really do appreciate it. Again, I got a pretty small channel relatively. Next year, I've got some really cool stuff coming. I've been doing a lot of brand videos for Gamdias and Sapphire and others recently. Not a lot of stuff from my own site. So if you did that, that's great. Again, here's the AIO cooler that we were working with. And again, I'm putting stuff out of the way that we're not using just to clean up for the stuff that we will use. Do you have the parts that they recommended out here? Make sure if it's your first time here that you've already hit that link down below and signed up for the drawing, because we got about 15 minutes before that giveaway is coming up. I said we would be installing the fans, and I don't want to be a liar here. So let me go ahead and pull the motherboard up, and I'm going to show you what I'm installing here, and we'll get started on that right away. Okay, so top-down camera. So there's the motherboard. This is that unit that I was talking about that goes on the back side of the motherboard, and it lines up with these holes. So these holes right here, I'm just lining up that piece on the back side of the motherboard with them, and all of them have made it through. Now, what's nice also about the motherboard box is you can use that as pressure to keep things down if you need to. I'm going to slide this all over. So these are a couple different styles of the connectors. Now they actually want this style, the larger style here, and you can double check that they're going to fit by just kind of eyeballing them over here, and they do match up. Whereas this other one is for a different style of CPU. And actually, because this is so narrow, I'm actually going to go a little bit closer for you guys here so you can kind of see a little bit better what I'm doing. I got the coolest email the other day from a dad, which I am one also. And he said that his son had been following my channel. This dad had actually gotten from his employer I think it was a Optiplex 9020 and found my videos that way. And he had done a flip. His kid had actually done a lot of the work with him, and they had the coolest outcome of it. Now he's got a brand new gaming machine built that way, and he loved my videos because we did step by step everything you need to do here. So I'm installing this AIO cooler. Now I'm just hand tightening these, but we probably should follow the instructions and give them a little twist. PSU Primo top tier bomb from Kush. Oh, great. Thanks, man. That is there's a bunch of different tier lists for power supplies, and you can go one way or the other on them, honestly. So I'm gonna make sure I got that tight. Let's get this guy tight. I'll make sure I got this side in. There we go. Okay. So those are tight enough. I'm going to bring this AIO over here. Now, what's funny is I can't actually see the Gamdias logo, but I do know that they were talking about it going like this. Let me go double check the instructions because I do actually cover that here. So CPU socket, and they want the two AIO pipes towards the memory, which is standard. So again, it looks like it's going to go in like that. So what I'm going to do here now is install, and don't forget to peel the bottom. I can't believe it. You guys got to not let me forget to peel the bottom here. What I'm going to do is install these pieces right here. Now, what they were talking about in their instructions is to install them this way, but to put the screws in from the bottom. They're little silver screws. Now, just so I don't forget, and I've seen a lot of fun memes on the internet about this, peel this label off. That's where all your thermal contact comes from. And if you don't have direct thermal contact, you're going to be wondering why your machine's overheating, or at least not. Nowadays, these things are so well protected. You're not likely going to hurt something, but you're not going to get the best performance out of it. I have had machines thermal throttle. My daughter is a huge Fortnite player right now. She's actually featured in a couple of videos that I did. But she was literally playing Fortnite with me, and I had a CPU cooler that wasn't working right. Now, I'm just double checking that I've got this right. They said to mount it on top of the AIO and to put the screws in from the bottom. Again, you could do this a bunch of different ways, and you could really get yourself messed up. So follow the instructions here. You know, this is a brand new screwdriver I'm trying out, and so far, one-handed operation, that made quick work of that. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on the, again, bottom side, sticker up. Wow. A lot of different steps here. Okay. Screw in. Another thing I like about this, again, one-handed operation. I'm just going to double check this. I want to get it right there. Okay, cool. If you've got a famous or favorite Gamdias product that you guys have used, let me know in the chat. It'd be interesting to talk about it. I will take a look at the chat here in just a second. This is always the thing when you're doing stuff on camera. It'll take you 11 times. If I'm not on camera, I can like nail this out first time every time. There we go. That took 3 times. Take a look. Did you not buy an LTT screwdriver? They asked me. No, I did not yet. You know, there is the SynGap promotion that Brett from UFD Tech is doing. And you know what? I saw he had like 50 of the LTT screwdrivers. I think I'm going to try to win one. We'll see. But no, I have not done the LTT screwdrivers. Okay, so this thing is literally ready to go. We're going to save the power connectors for after when we get everything ready. And we'll do the final peel when we get the motherboard back. But those are set and ready to go. Now, thermal compound is a long conversation. I'm not doing a thermal test on this thing. We're not trying to see if it's going to, you know, win any awards. So, and now that I've got this, I might actually just dry fit it before we put it in there, because a 360 AIO is a big thing to have. So I'm going to use just some thermal grizzly, but if I was really going to test this and, you know, try to do a review of it, I would use their thermal compound that they include. But they do include thermal compound, and they do include the world's cutest little spatula here, if you guys want a little cute spatula. But I'm actually going to install this in the case first, just because I don't want to have that swinging around. But I'm going to just go ahead and test the fit of this and make sure I have things lined up. Now, you will have to slide these screws. See how they slide back and forth in these slots? You're going to have to slide those to the medium or the middle. And because I haven't re-pasted this yet, I'm just going to look and make sure that it's going to line up good. And it looks like it does. I'm going to go to the outside on these, it looks like. And I do have memory clearance here. I had a problem, honestly, with the Sapphire one I was going to use in another video. The pipes did not give enough room. This gives enough room for even your largest RAM sticks with their most aggressive stuff. So that's going to fit really well. And I know this machine boots up, so I'm actually going to pull this thing off, and we're not going to install it then until we are ready, which saves me one extra step. So I like that. And who you guys got to keep me honest in the chat. When the giveaway time, I said 6:15. We got 7 minutes to do the giveaway, which will be right in the middle of this. So I'm going to go ahead and at 6:15 or about 6:10, I'm going to close the giveaway, and we won't have any more entries on this one. I am going to pull the back of this off for the case here, just to make life easier on me, because that gives me access to any of the back. With all cases, now on this one, for assembly, to make things a little bit easier, you could flip this all the way out, and I'm going to try that for now. If I wanted to take it off, I can absolutely take this off. Oh, I forgot one of the biggest features this case has going for it. Let me pull this back out a little bit. So one of the neatest features of this is the entire PCI Express area can rotate. So if you want to rotate this, you can rotate it, and you can actually have your GPU mounted inside the case here vertically, and you don't have to buy any special kits. You don't have to deal with any other stuff. The entire cage rolls, which is pretty cool. So I'm just looking here to make sure that my motherboard fitment is looking good. It looks like it's from the factory setup with the standoffs for an ATX motherboard, but man, there's a ton of room in here. Let's go ahead and take a look at how this AIO is going to fit. I want the fans on this side, and because there's so much room here, okay, I'm going to have to take the drive covers off. So I can want the fans on this side. I don't want it protruding on the back side. You could actually install it in a way that the radiator's on the back in a lot of these. I don't necessarily want to do that. So I'm kind of dry fitting here. Looks good. I am going to take that piece off. So this is just some of your fan adapters and your SSD trays. But since we're not doing an SSD in this case, I'm going to change that. So I'll go over to the side camera for you guys so you can see what I'm doing back here. So I'm going to take these screws out, and yeah, I'm happy that I got the powered screwdriver today. So, oh, but those are in tight. This is a new powered screwdriver I'm trying, but sometimes you don't want to thrash those little tiny gears. I'm just going to break all these loose a little bit, and then we will come back to those. Jonathan's clarifying 9:15 or 9:16 Eastern. I recommend tubing down so no air trapped in the radiator. Ooh, man, I almost did that, didn't I, Jonathan? That's a really good point. As long as the CPU is higher than the radiator, you're right. You can get away with it, but that would do air in the pump. That's a really good point. Yeah, I want to put the radiator on the side here and have all those fans vertically, but I didn't really even think about that. Thanks for thinking about that for me. So yeah, this screwdriver does have a neat feature. It does have a light, which my other ones do not. So I'm taking the SSD trays out because we don't need them. So I'm going to pull those out real quick. And we're about ready to do the fan and AIO installation here. So lots of room here. I was able to pull those out of the back. Looks like I didn't loosen that one. There we go. Good point on the AIO. See, there goes one of my screws already. I told you. Even the best ones losing screws. Okay. Get those out of the way. So yeah, we'll have to talk about that. If you guys have seen Gamers Nexus, I think it was, maybe 4 years ago now. They had an AIO and they installed it and they cut open a window on it, and you could see where the air was getting trapped. And over time, these all naturally lose a little bit of liquid or get air in there, just the way that the pumps work. Causes a little tiny bit of cavitation, so that can cause a little bit less efficiency. Oh, the AIO thing came from Greg Salazar, Jonathan, saying, yeah, Greg Salazar is another great channel on YouTube. Okay, so I got those SSD trays. If you don't need the SSD trays, save a little bit of weight. This thing's already pretty heavy. I see, 2 minutes to go. So I'm going to give 2 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the sign up. I got to turn that off because what I've had happen before is people will be in the process of signing up and then they will complain to me that later they didn't get to enter because I shut it off while they were entering their form. Sorry about that. So again, you guys can they're finishing up there, you can finish on there right now, but then I'm gonna have to switch off here in just a second. Okay, so this is the case. I'm gonna go back to the front view. So AIO, and this is what Jonathan Talks Hardware was talking about. If I put the AIO here, it needs to be low enough that the pipes do not create a vacuum, like a lock, I guess, or technically it doesn't have to be high enough. It has to be high enough that the pipes there don't create a pump where the pump would actually run dry. So we'll have to take a look at that. It's been a while. Okay, so another cool thing about this case while we're building it is I can literally open the front and work through the front here. So these are removable, but I don't technically need to do that. So as you can see here, I'm literally just, putting I don't think I've seen a motherboard go in that easily. Now, can't forget the IO shield, but I'm just lining things up, making sure all the standoffs work. And it looks like they do. That center screw on this one has a pin in it also, it looks like, so that it's going to hold it in place, which I love those that have that either a metal pin where you don't actually tighten it down. Those are really good. I'm looking for my IO shield and anything else I might want to throw in here. I don't want to put the GPU bracket because I've only got a 6600 going in this. We won't need that. There we go. So we're going to go ahead and put this back in. Yeah, this is so easy to work on, but then different at the same time because it is so huge. This has definitely got plenty of volume. So if you're looking for a case to really make a statement on size and volume of your gaming PC, this is not your friend's little Xbox. It is definitely not small. What I'm also looking here is on this IO shields. I do this all the time, is just making sure that those little grounds on the tops of the IO shields don't go in the ports, because that can be such a mess to deal with later. If you've ever done that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So looks like the IO shield lined up. One of them got pinched, so let me lift this back up. I'm gonna pinch this out of the way. Let's try that again. Okay, yep, all the grounds on the back look good. They went right through the IO shield, so we're good there. So now I'm actually going to use what came with the case. So the case comes with a accessory kit and instructions. So there you go. So there's the instructions for it. It's actually a visual instruction guide, which I love. So it's telling you all about this stuff, how to open the sides, how to open the back. It looks like you can pivot the doors off. I was trying earlier and I couldn't get them to come off quickly. So that's good to know. And front panel folds down and out, bottom comes off. So all the stuff is just pictographic here. It's talking about the SSD slots that we just did. So really good overall instructions. And this is where it's talking about the rotatable PCI bus on the backside. So that for your GPU, you can rotate it and vertical mount your GPU. You will still need an adapter. So you're not going to get away with just, turning that and everything's happy. You still want this. Now they do actually have on the back here on top of the power supply, they're talking about the control boxes. So Gamdias is a really big company as far as making control boxes. So they're recommending here that your control box can go right on top of the power supply, and that's magnetic on all their control boxes. So that's good to know. Looks like they installed right through the top. I don't know how this works. So it's got the radiator and it's just going right through the top. So I don't know if that's just a removable top panel here. It looks like it must be. I can go ahead and try to remove it. Now they also do have a different style. Yep, looks like the top panel is removable. Wow. That will make things easier when it comes to wiring in the future. So it looks good. Okay. I wish every motherboard with comes with IO shields pre-installed. You know what, Jonathan? I'm with you there, man. If you want to start a petition, I would totally sign that. I think we need to start a thing here with these IO shields, because I don't know anybody that doesn't want an IO shield on theirs. This is what we were looking at previously. This is their screw kit. I'm going to kind of leave everything in the box here, and we'll see. Now, another big question, how many people would like to buy this final PC on Java? I've been looking at Java. I did actually join their affiliate program recently, so I will be able to not only sell the computers, I've sold a few on Java, but I would also be able to affiliate link some of these things. But yeah, so Jawa's another good place. I can't say these kind of things when I'm doing my Amazon show, by the way, so don't get me in trouble with Amazon. But these are those magnetic feet covers. So if you lose one of those covers, and then there's looks like this case a plastic as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get the motherboard standoffs. I'm just checking the thread on these standoffs because some are fine and some are coarse. So these looks like they're all fine thread. Yep. So the motherboard standoffs are going to be using fine thread, and we're going to do the motherboard real fast. We are going to get that drawing going now that it is past the time. I'm going to go ahead and run in and check, and we'll get that drawing going now that we got the motherboard. I'm going to do these 6 or 8 screws, and we'll switch over to that. I don't know. Tonight's build might actually require, like PC Tech Hustle did I think it was a 5-hour stream, but man, he built the coolest machine all at once too. Like, this is one of those machines that you'd wrench on for a couple hours a night for a week, and he did it all live in one continuous stream. And I keep giving him a hard time to this day, but it was really actually fun to watch. And he had so many fans and AIOs. Those take up so much time when you're a streamer doing this. Okay. Oh, looks like that. I did not put a standoff under there. That was not there to begin with, so wasn't actually screwing into anything. Before I sell this on Java, I will go back and put a standoff in that one spot, just for quality. There we go. Okay, so we are going to switch gears real quick here, and I'm going to do a drawing. So let's come back out here. I'm going to go over to my site. I'm going to the admin. And I need to download the entry list. So I can't show this part to you, but again, if you guys did join the drawing, I really do appreciate it here. I'm going to go to the contact form, because that's how these all do. Forminator. Go to the last form. Export it, and we are going to download. Okay. Where is the latest submission? There it is. View submissions. Okay. I see a few people in here. You know what? Not a ton of people have signed up that form. So I've got a few people that dialed into the form. I want to make sure everything is working right. So give me 1 second. I'm going to go ahead and do a similar thing here. I'm just going to do a quick test. And did I share the stream? Yes. Submit. Okay. Going to go to Forminator. We're going to view our submissions, refresh, make sure I got the right form. I would hate to do the wrong drawing. Let's put it that way. So I'm going to make sure. Yes, it is. Okay. So the great thing, I'm going to go here to what you guys want to be called. Green, Harley, and Jonathan. You are the 3 people that are going to fight this one off. So spinner wheel. We are going to do... a spin here. Give me 1 second because I don't want to dox you guys. I have to do this really careful. Okay, so it is going to be green, Harley, and Jonathan. This is how easy this is going to be. Let's go full screen. I got to switch it over so you guys can see it too. Again, thank you for being patient here. We are going to get onto the stream. I'm going to share, and I will share the spinning wheel window. This is going to be awesome. Pinky Tech didn't even sign up. I can't believe that. With all that grief he was giving me today, and he didn't sign up. The suspense is killing him, he says. Okay. So should I share the audio with this one too and make it do the audio, or should I just spin it? I think we're just going to spin it. Harley Green and Jonathan Talks Hardware. You guys got a 33% chance of winning a fan kit. So let's go ahead and hit it. And it's going around. It's going around. It's going around. Oh, Jonathan, I think I will be sending you a 4-fan kit. This is your reward for being a great fan of the show. Jonathan, you're in so many of my streams. This is awesome. I'm glad that you won. That's awesome. Yeah, sorry, I didn't put the audio of the spinning. I needed to share the audio of the spinning next time. So, Jonathan, you won. Congratulations. You are going to get the... Let's take a look at this fan kit. We're going to bring it up here in just a second when I go to install these. But just so you can see, this is that Aeolus M3. This is their brand new black fans with RGB. So that's what you're actually seeing spinning back here is my gaming machine, my personal one. And I've got a set of these in it. And just one set plus their AIO causes all that RGB on that one back there. So it is crazy looking, but very cool setup. And Jonathan, you got one coming on the way to you. So I'll get that out here in the mail. And you should have that by the end of the week, knowing where you're at. So let's get this stuff going. We'll get the party started here. As far as the AIO goes, that one's going to be the easiest one to mount. Look at how easy this case is to work in. Oh my gosh. I can literally mount the AIO here. Now, when I do this AIO, when I mount it like this, the fans are going to be... everything's pretty accessible, but the cooler is going to be higher than the pump. Now, from my understanding, you don't want the pump up here higher than the cooler, only because it can cause a airlock in there. So let me get this started here. And I'm actually, for this one, I'm going to use the correct one, and I'm going to put a little thermal paste on there before I forget. So Jonathan Talks Hardware, our winner. Sorry, everybody. The drawing is over. That's the nice thing about these very small channels, isn't it? You know, you get to be in the drawings, and the odds are much better than these big nationalized contests. What I needed to do was say, and now for the re-roll, and totally get myself in trouble and get myself demonetized and everything else and have to shut down. No, that's internet lore of other channels that decided to pull that stuff. No, we are good. We follow through on our winners. I sent a lot of wise cams out last year. Those were a very popular item here. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and pull these up here. The only drawback I can see is actually, even though this is such a large case, that the cables to get the AIO, luckily they're long enough and they're going to reach, but I could see that being an issue if you had like a 240. You might be stuck putting it on the top here. Now what I'm doing is I'm not tightening these down all the way. These are spring loaded. I'm just making sure that they're threaded. And I'm going to go ahead. I need to follow the instructions. So I just want to make sure that they're all properly threading. And then we'll give them a good tighten when we have this vertical. Okay. Oh, no. So Nathan says, I won a 4060 from Devon Does Tech. That's awesome, man. I need to go back there. That would be really cool. I need to go check in on a few of those websites that I can win some of these things on. You know, I'm too busy building stuff all the time on mine. Again, this is removable, they say, so you can rotate it and remove these. I've actually found that they're not really in the way. I love the fact that they're hinged. Now that AIO is going to kind of flop forward there. I want to double check that I've got it, because I need to get to the back side of it here and put a few screws in the back side of this one just to hold it in place. And then the fan screws are going to go all the way through. So what I'm doing is I'm installing it on the back. Let me go out to the wide here. So I'm installing it from the back. I'm using my hand to go through the side. I'm installing it pretty much at the highest point that I can install from the back here, just because I want to make sure that the pump doesn't get the air lock, the vapor lock in it and then cavitate. But I think this should work out good. Yeah, these AIOs are just a bear to install. Usually, this one's pretty standard. You saw how quickly it got put together. And then I'm going to switch over here in a second. We'll get the fans on the front, which goes pretty quickly. And then we will finish the install and we will boot this thing up. So not too long, probably another 45 minutes or so of the show. Taking a look at the chat. Oh, Florida is excluded. Well, I don't know the company in Florida, so la 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 la. I'm okay with it. So there we go. So that AIO is now buttoned down. I'm going to go ahead and close this while I rotate it. Now, one quick thing about the top panel they were talking about. Watch this. So if you wanted to install your AIO up top, look at that. Let me go up here. It's going to be a little out of focus, but look at all that room. And this is very similar to the NZXT style, where you can actually take your radiator out. So you can mount your radiator here. This might be another way I do it. There's so many good options on the layouts of this case, so much flexibility. So this is another way, but this top panel came off entirely. And actually, you know what? I'm going to leave it off for now. Just to give myself room to access all the wiring. So this is, again, very easy to work in case. If you're looking for something that's large, it has plenty of room. Oh my gosh, I can do the wiring. This is awesome. I can literally do the wiring through the top. This case is so big that I could actually put that where it needs to go, which is water pump CPU fan 2 right there. That's awesome. I can do the wiring without even opening the case. There's so much room through the top hatch here. And then this one's going to go to the back. This is the RGB controller for the RGB that's sitting in the middle of that. We're going to pull that off at the end. I'm going to run the cable through the top here. I'm going to open this back up. And then we're going to go ahead and put these fans in. Now, a couple quick rules on fans. If you want it to be a pull configuration, again, you can mount it with the cage or the frame facing you. So the air always goes towards the frame. I learned that from Zach's Tech Turf. So that's a real quick and simple thing. So if you want it to be a pull configuration, you'd install it this way. If you want it to be a push configuration, which I think is what we want, I would install it this way. And honestly, the RGB looks a little bit brighter this way on a lot of these fans. So this is the, man, I got to make sure I get the model number right on this one. The P2 360R CPU cooler that we're doing. And so this has got the second gen fans. The fan kit that I have for the remaining fans, which I can install up here, I can install down the bottom. Those are the newer style. So I've got kind of a mix of the two different fans, but they're going to look good. Honestly, there's going to be enough RGB in here. This thing's going to look great. So I got to figure out, Jonathan, do your folks know how much stuff you win all the time? Because you've gotten really lucky on this channel. I tell you what. There we go. So I am installing these. Now, what's cool about this case, again, wire hiding, I'm not even thinking hard about this. I'm just going to push these through this. They got a huge valley here along the side and the ability to run them that way. So I'm going to go ahead and get this one started. This makes it super easy. And you know what? I'm actually going to try to get that last one in first, just because the pipes on that AIO could be a factor. So I'm going to go ahead and take this apart. So if you did want to build this machine, if you just follow the same exact steps that I've been doing, you can build what it looks like a pretty hot looking little machine. Yeah, so I'm glad I did that because I can reach that screw hole over here. This is a new screwdriver I'm using here. Let me change your view up here in a second and let you see. This is super easy to work in this case. The fact that it's completely opening is nice. Gives you a lot of room. I guess that's an advantage of a full tower case here. What's interesting is it's not technically, I think, as tall as some of the cases. I have at the very end, remind me, I've got a H510 or 710. I've got a very tall NZXT case that I can just step. It's underneath my desk here. I can just pull it out and we can look and see how this compares dimensionally to that one. Okay. Perfect. We got our fans ready to go in. The only fans. Okay. Yeah, so some of these screws are going in easy. And the other ones, this poor little screwdriver's doing some work here. Did I mention it was going to put in this many fans? It is making it a little bit easier to do the build when you've got a powered screwdriver like this, but I am going to have to come back through on these and give it just a quick sink down. I don't want these things to rattle or be loose, and that can happen. Man, what a good looking case this is. You'll probably see this. I've been doing a little bit more TikToks. You'll probably see this look in these fans specifically in an upcoming TikTok. Wow. Yeah, this is going to look great. I can just tell because these ones put out a ton of RGB. There we go. If you're just tuning in, this is John the Net Guy. We're doing a build in the Neso P1. This is a case that was provided to me by Gamdias, one of my favorite RGB companies. I could call them an RGB company because pretty much everything they make has RGB or some really cool looking graphics with it. This is a 360 AIO cooler, which fits very cleanly up there. Cable management in this case is going to be really easy. I got huge room, on the bottom. So there's kind of a little bit of what it's going to look like off. I can show you guys now. So I'm going to close this up. These are removable panels, but honestly, I haven't found the need to remove them. So that's a little bit of what that machine's already going to look like. You can tell this thing is going to be hot when the end. I can't wait till we get all the RGB installed in here. We're almost ready to do a fan kit, but I'm going to show you the back side, and then we're going to go ahead and install some of our IO. There's honestly too much room back here, I think. They literally have these cord guides, cable management guides here, but there's literally so much room on these. I don't know what I would do. Now, the neat thing is if you have the same generation of controller, you can actually run them together. And we'll have to see. I don't know if this generation and the older will work, but let me just run these fans here. So you've got fan 1 through 8 and LED 1 and 2. So anything that has a fan needs to go in these fan ones. I want to make sure I get this situated properly. If you do put these in backwards, it can break the fans. I have had that situation happen before on one of these models where it was very easy to put in backwards, and you can actually fry your fans and your LEDs very easily. So be real careful about that. Just going ahead and putting this together. I love it. Jonathan's over here recounting his victories on this channel in the past. And I have sent him some cool stuff. So he's going to be getting a fan kit now. If you want to do a review of the fan kit on your channel, John, then I will relink people to you because you do some great stuff for the community. And I think that it would be great to see what you think when you get these fans. So I'm going to go ahead and get this magnet strip put on. So again, you can magnetize this really anywhere, but what I'm looking at is they kind of want it mounted here behind the drives. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now this LED one goes on the CPU. So I'm just making sure that I have that in the right direction, which I think I do. And it does take one SATA power cord. So we'll do that. I'm just looking at the rest of my IO and kind of planning out where I want things to go. I kind of want this to go up through here. So I'll loosely run that through there. And then you can kind of do that. Again, I'll make it really pretty later because there's just literally so much volume in this that I just need to run the IO here. This is the USB 3, which I'm going to run up the front here. We're going to put it out next to the USB 3 port. Okay, and then we'll pull all those back. Now, motherboard connector here. So this is for the AIO, the 360 AIO. This is the motherboard connector. Now, there's several different kinds. So you've got your VDG, which I believe is your gigabyte ones. But this is going to be your other style. Sorry, I showed it to you there. And so those are those pins. There's going to be 3 pins and one that's blocked off. Now this cord needs to go from your motherboard's addressable RGB, which in this case is up here. I'm just installing it up on top. So if you want to have the ability to do motherboard control later, this is an important step. Don't skip this one. So I'm going to do this real fast. I've got that. I'm going to pull the wire, and then I'm going to come down to here, and usually on the end, and see where it says LED in here? So LED in is where you want to plug this one in. And now I can actually motherboard control all the RGB. So it'll still work with the remote, which we're going to test with here in a little bit. But now I can actually run it with both. So I'm going to take my power supply, look at the best way to mount this. Now, if I want the RGB visible, there's not going to be a lot. It's going to be sitting this way. So I'm going to like that anyway. There's a couple mounting options when it comes to the power supply units here. So you can go this direction, which I think I like. I just happen to have some extra screws from the kit. They're coarse thread, flat-headed screws, so I can put those in there. Now, I went with the Kratos just to get the all Gamdias build here. This should be available on Jawa later, but you're going to get a very sick-looking machine, in my opinion. There we go. But it's going to be a little bit sad to not see this RGB as much. So let's go ahead and run our power where we want it to go. I will start with the ATX connector. That's the big one. So I want it to come out here roughly. Going to keep the drive connectors back. We do have a GPU going in this one, so that's PCI Express. So I'm going to send that down here around where the GPU will be. Okay. I need to keep my SATA around just for my controller here, so I'm going to go ahead and plug the controller in. Now, the fan speed is all automatically going to be controlled by the controller here on this one. So we're going to get that. And then CPU. So I'm going to come up here. This is the EPS connectors, they call them, or the supplemental CPU power. They did not have these back when I originally started on computers. We did not use that much CPU power, honestly. So it was kind of funny. You know, cable management, I'm not doing anything special here, and it's doing pretty good. Now, if you want your power supply unit, check this out, synchronized as well, you can plug your power supply. This Kratos does have an RGB sync cable, but there is a button to control it on the back. So I'm going to go ahead and hide this up under here because we don't need that. I believe I have an extra power connector here that I can just tuck underneath because we don't need that either. And then we can flip this around, and power switch is one of the others. It does not have, I'm looking Doesn't have power LEDs or anything like that, so I'll run that one. But I'm going to flip this around so you guys can see the wiring that I'm going to do on the front side. Did you see me winning the fan kit? Jonathan's bragging already. He's like, hey, I won. Did you watch? Yeah. Yeah. Drawing is over. Jonathan won it. I didn't want to make you guys have to wait till the end of the night. I do appreciate every single one of you guys that tunes into this show. You do have a lot of choices when it comes to creators nowadays. And, there's room for everybody. So I want to make sure I get this in just right. There we go. That's all the way in. Okay, and I'll tuck back these and zip tie them. You get a few zip ties with the case as well, as the power supply comes with plenty of zip ties, so you're not out hunting for zip ties, but you can do some really cool cable management with that. I kind of like the black on the cables here. I don't need a colored cable extensions. Maybe you could do some of those cool lighted cables. Those would be awesome in this type of a build with all this RGB that we're going to have. You know what? I kind of want to put one here just to clean this corner up. See how these all kind of turn the corner together? I'm going to put a zip tie right here, as long as those are making good contact, just so that it looks clean when I take some pictures of it here in a second. So we'll do that. Always carry a Leatherman, kids. There we go. I use that so much. I swear I use it every single day. I'm putting the audio connector on down at the bottom. That's on. Putting the power switch on. Like I said before, this one does not have hard drive LEDs to worry about or anything, and I'm just pushing all of the cables to the back. And because of the removable top tray, I think I'm actually going to cheat here and put the GPU in. Let's take a look at that. So now, one of the things when you're buying a case that honestly is not a bottom tier budget case, you're not going to have to deal with, looks like, knockouts. It looks like it does have individual ones. I'm going to go ahead and adjust this. So this is the IO retainer. So I'm going to pull this up so you can get that in, so you can get your stuff in. But I'm just eyeballing it where my GPU is going to land. So you guys are going to see this. Hopefully you guys can see this from the inside. There we go. So GPU is going to come here. It's going to skip the first slot, and so I need to take the bottom two out. So that's why I'm taking the next two. Now this can be trouble sometimes, so I'm going to take that top one out too. Yeah, these card retainers are interesting because they hold down the cards, but they can always get in the way when you're just swapping things in and out. There we go. So that's something that we've been begging to see, and we finally get a manufacturer that does it, which is to actually include slot covers that are removable for every slot, not cheap out in on their slot covers. And they did, of course. So that's nice to see. I think Pinky Tech and I have both said that on our builds in the past. There we go. Because if you get a motherboard in on a case that doesn't, that the motherboard doesn't have room, and you end up having to take everything back out because you forgot a slot cover, it is not fun. So I'm going to go ahead and put these two back in. So I just put for a GPU a RX 6600 XT that I just happened to have laying around. Nothing special. Didn't have to be for this build, but man, you could do some really cool RGB like that. Behind me, I got a Sapphire RGB Nitro Plus edition for Sapphire. That's their RGB cards, and man, does it look good. Okay. I don't think there's a way to make PCI Express power cables look good. Just what an awful design of a cable. You know, maybe extensions. What I'm going to do on this one, just so you guys can see, let's do this. So you can see how I'm building in this one. So I just did the PCI Express. What I'm going to do, and I like to do this, is if there's extra cable, just zip tie it in line so you don't have something hanging out there. And then I can tighten this as much as I can from the back side. So what I'll do is I'll pull this cable taut as much as I can to try to keep it out of the visual way there. And I might actually even have to, give me 1 second here, go back to this side, pull it, and then either zip tie or strap it. I'm gonna use their cable management straps. You can't even see me. Look, I'm gone. Disappeared. Okay, so cool. So that's looking pretty good. We're almost ready to just bench test this thing. I'm trying to think if I skipped anything. I'm going to add in a bunch more. We have the CPU, the water pumps connected to the water pump connector. We can do the peel just to give it the best look. So right here, we're going to do a quick peel, and then that is a mirror finish. So you guys can't see it, unfortunately, but that's the Gamdias logo inside there on a mirror finish. It's going to look really good. I'm going to go ahead and put the back cover on just to make the RGB pop a little bit when we turn this thing on. And then we're going to install that fan kit that Jonathan just won. We'll get that fan kit installed on the top, and the back we'll have a back vent fan. But what I'd like to do is just make sure that it's going to boot up and see how pretty she looks. So we'll get that started. Okay. This is the point of the game that everybody loves to play, which is, will it post? I should offer another prize for people if that doesn't. Here we go. I'm going to get the stuff out. Got to plug my GPU in. I'm trying to think. Power off on the power supply. Network card. Okay. So this is just coming from the AIO now. I don't have any other RGB in this case other than the motherboard and the AIO. We're going to flip this open so you guys can see it. Power button on this guy is down by the front bottom here next to the IO. So you can see from an IO perspective, we have the front panel, USB-C, 2 USB 3s, and a front panel headphone. Here we go. Power's on the motherboard. I see some RGB. Jonathan says fans aren't spinning. Here we go. Hitting the button. Okay. Maybe do I have to hold the button? Oh, no. No. Okay. Let me see. Did I plug it into the right one? I thought I did. Let's see. Boom. There we go. Yeah, right church, wrong pew. Look at that. You can see the RGB on that thing. Let's go over to input number 4 and input number 4 on number 4. And let's see if I get a post on this one here. Hey, we got a post. So the build was a success, but the patient died. No, it actually was a complete success here so far. That is the start of the RGB for this build. And you can see very good looking case from Gamdias here. That's the beginning. Now the fans on here are controllable, so I can change the fan speed. It's an RF remote. I can also decrease the brightness of the RGB. Now you notice how bright the RGB is. So I can tone it down here, something that my camera likes a little better. That's actually really low on the RGB, but the camera picks it up much better when it's a little low like that. But I can increase that. I can change the RGB effects on here and the speed. So I can go to red. Hey, red's a good looking color for this. I can increase the intensity of the red. We can go green with it. Let's see. There's green. A little green and red, a little blue. We could do a red, white, and blue case. So if I had some colored RAM, you could do that. Looks really good. So we did post. We did get it done. We did it just over an hour. Now I'm going to pop the fan kit out, and we're going to install this fan kit. I'm going to show you how easy it is, 1, to install, and 2, what the looks of these fans are, because they're just fantastic. But that's the whole machine there, and that's it buttoned up. You can see how visible that is. It's a decent looking machine. Yeah, that RGB is going to look good at any angle. And then I actually, technically, I prefer the rainbow effect. So I set the auto mode. So there's different modes that it's got. So it's got a fader mode. Just going through them. Now, what's cool, and I'll get you to see the back here, there's actually RGB on the back. So this is the power supply. Now, what's cool about the power supply is it has 2 very important things. It has a button for speed, so now it's full speed, but it also has an RGB button here. So I'm actually able to change the RGB modes of the power supply separately from the case. I could wire it together and use it from the software, but if you don't have software controlled RGB in your build, you could actually get this Kratos M1 power supply, and it has its own built-in RGB, so you could add RGB to your machine. Green Protagonist says excellent, and let's see, I gotta there we go. So he says not only excellent, but he says fantastic. I think so myself. Yeah, it does look pretty good, and we got it to post the first time, which is not a record, but man, it's pretty good when that happens. Makes you feel good when it does post. Let's talk about the size of the Neso P1, just because I want you guys to see, in comparison, this thing has a ton of volume. I'm going to turn the caption off on the bottom here. This has a ton of volume, but how does it compare to another case? Something like maybe an NZXT. I've got a big NZXT full-size ATX down here, which weighs a ton. Oh my gosh. Okay. So this is my previous machine, and you can see they're dead on height-wise. So this is my 710. Honestly, it's a very traditional, boring-looking white PC now compared to this other one. So let's put them onto the side here. Yeah. So this one definitely has a lot more RGB on it for sure. So lots of cool RGB in this. This one has a lot more features, a lot more storage, and a lot more room in it than the white one here. But this is a 710i from NZXT. So you can definitely see the size difference. And man, the weight difference on that 710, I forgot how much that thing weighed. I can use it to hold down the desk. There we go. Okay, so let's pull that fan kit out, and we will get to putting some fans in this thing, and then we will call it done for the evening. But thank you guys for tuning in. Again, if you want to see more of these types of shows, let me know in the comments. Even if you're tuning in later, say, hey, I'm just tuning in later, John, I saw you. Good looking machine or something cool like that. Let's get the fan kit out here, and we'll start an unbox of that. I'll try to get this over to the side, but to where it's not reflecting a bunch of stuff. There we go. Oh, you know what? I love that Gamdias center logo, though. Let's do that. Okay, cool. That works for me. So this is the Aeolus M3 fan kit. And the fan kit, the M3, this is the Series 3 fans. These are the ones that have the black fans in them that I showed you on the other one. So what's neat about that, they're going to be a little bit different. You're going to get to see both styles. So this is the third generation. Fan kit has everything you need. All the controls and everything are in the top. All your fans. Now you get 4 fans here. And I mentioned these are the black fans. So take a look at that. So they're an all black fan, but the RGB is actually contained in the ring around the outside edge. So probably a little bit easier to make, honestly. Probably a little more reliable than trying to spin your motor and all that stuff inside where the bearings are and then have your RGB fit in there somewhere. Has the same controller style, but a different connector, I believe. I don't think it's compatible with the M2s. At least I'm not going to risk it. Let's just put it that way. And it's going to have screws for all those fans. So I'm going to put both controllers in separately on this one. Really easy to install. So I'm actually going to install it on this by just removing the top. And I should be able, because this bracket is removable up here, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take out the bracket, and actually this is done really well. I'm going to take this bracket off, and we're going to mount it to the bracket and then just drop the bracket in, and we'll save ourselves a little bit of time. So anytime we can cheat, I will take it. Now, I talked to you about the directionality of fans. So we want these spinning, so they're going to be, the cage will be facing up on them because we want the airflow towards the back of the cage. So I'm going to go ahead and remove these. Don't let me drop a screw in the machine while it's running, because that would be probably what I would do in my earlier days. So let me put this out. I really do like this removable tray. One, it's going to make the fans easy to install. And two, this AIO, if I was doing an AIO up top, which is another great option for this, I just wanted to see those big fans up front. But if I wanted to do an AIO up top build, which like I had on my 710, that would be super easy. So we have to remember that this is going to be facing upward. So I'm going to put the fans like so. And then the fans, like we said, they flow towards the cage always. So if you're going to install them like this. So I can run the wiring up because there's enough clearance. So I'm going to install them something like that. And I want them to be spaced roughly where these brackets are. Good deal. Okay. I'm going to lay these down. As far as wiring goes, looks like there's a ton of room along the sides here. So this is that bracket that we took out. And I'm going to just give us a little bit of focus down towards the bottom there. The camera hunts focus all the time anyway, so it's always a an endeavor. Okay. So we're going to put this one down here. Again, make sure all your fans are facing the same way. Now, I want to make sure, yep, I do have room if I actually need to send the fans downward. Okay. But I need to run the cables out the side. I'm just doing a little fitment here. Again, didn't build this before. A lot of times when you see YouTubers and they're like, oh, we're just going to throw this together today, they've already built the machine. It's kind of like a cooking show. I have not. I'm giving you everything for the first time here. Green says full towers are a bit tall for a desk from Paul. Yep, that's true. Oh no, PC on the floor. We're getting into that conversation already in the chat here. I'm actually going to pull the chat overlay up for a little bit here. If you guys want to say anything, if you want to give a shout out to anybody, if you want to put your links to your channels, I can do that finally. So Jonathan, who just won, you could put a link to your channel in the chat. Pinky, as long as your channel's not like an OnlyFans or gets me demonetized, go ahead and feel free to give some bookmarks to some other creators here for people to check out later. Let me go ahead and put these in. Now, these fan screws are always heavy duty because they're going into plastic. And they're always basically threading themselves. So it's very common to use a bigger screwdriver on these. So that's why I did not try to even attempt it with the smaller screwdrivers. Went with the Klein tools. Been doing a lot of Klein reviews on mine. There's Pinky Tech. I think we should totally do a raid on his channel, but he streams like once every 6 months, right? Isn't that how often you stream? Once every 6 months? Oh, Jonathan, I was giving you a hard time, man. Why would he do OnlyFans? He does tech videos. You know they need like only techs. That would be a really funny thing. I get so many support requests from my viewers. And that, again, don't feel bad if you're sending them in. I'm not bad mouthing you. But I get a lot of, I just built this machine or I'm about to build this machine. Can you help me fix everything that goes wrong? And I'm like, I do have a day job. I do have a family and I have a bunch of stuff. But yeah, I will. Absolutely. So I hate to complain about it. Let's see. Well, every Thursday, Pinky says, okay. I feel bad now. You've been doing gaming recently, haven't you, Pinky? I saw a couple Apex games. Looked like I need to do that. And then, Jonathan, hopefully you're able to link to your channel. I don't know if that's a mod only thing. Maybe it's a YouTube thing. Hopefully it allows links. I'd feel bad if it didn't. I think people have linked before to giveaways and other stuff I've done. So hopefully you're able to get it. Now, the way that this wires in is kind of interesting. So it is all going to, again, go to a similar fan controller hub. So this fan hub works again if you're doing an Optiplex build. Gamdias is your friend. So this is the hub right here that it's all going to go into. Just have to make sure again that you put these in the right direction. They are directional, and that you get them lined up right. But everything else looks to be identical. So I'm going to go back out to the main view here for a little bit, and we are going to shut this guy down. Hopefully it gracefully shuts down, but we'll see. Doesn't want me to log in first because that would be bad. And I think I can do this all from the back of the computer. We'll see. So that is where it's going to go. Yeah, this is going to be a great looking machine. Yeah, I've been thinking about it. I thought I might want to list this one on Java. You know, I keep these around for a little bit, but honestly, I've got like 8 or 9 computers here. I had to sell a bunch over the summer just because I needed the room. But I think I'm going to sell this one on Java. We'll see. Give you guys an opportunity to pick it up. If this is something that you're into. Man, this thing is so big. It has so much room. When I was dealing with ITX cases and the NR200s. There we go. Now I'm going to go power off this bad boy when I get this controller. So these are fans, so I got to make sure I find the fan slots. And to get these lined up correctly, I'm going to go bring the chat over so you guys can see. So to get these lined up correctly, there's actually little pieces on the side that prevent you from mounting them wrong. So let's do that. And we'll do the next one, same way. 2, and last one, 3. Now, these may work with the other controller. I have not and did not want to test that. Let's double check the part numbers. Part numbers are different on them. So again, don't want to be the guy that discovers they're not compatible, but I can do some homework on that for you and let you know what I find. So similar to the last one, and if I want it to be addressable RGB, you can do that. If you have multiple of the fan kits, there's this special cable here, you guys. So this cable has a white and a black end. Now these should communicate to each other. So this is LED out coming out of the other controller, and I'm going to bring it to the LED in of this one. Now this controller has a button, PWM header and other stuff that is not present on the AIO one, which is kind of interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and put these back over here. Oh, I almost forgot one more fan that we want to add on the back here. So I'm going to bring this over. You can see how those turned out up there. Not bad looking. I'm going to go ahead and reinstall the screws on the top real fast so it doesn't go sliding all over the place. This is going to give some really good looking RGB downward. And there we go. Oh, Pinky even got Jonathan's channel linked in there. Awesome. Thank you, Pinky. So yeah, take a look at both those guys. There we go. And it looks like there's a Twitter handle in there for @GreenProtag, PROTAG, @GreenProtag. He's got some server projects. He says, okay. So that's the fan kit there. I'm going to install one more fan in the back. This is going to be the 120 that goes in the back side here. Try to find a way to install this where you can see it and I can get it installed quickly because I don't want you guys waiting all night on me. Okay, this should go pretty fast. Cable management is going to be a dream in this thing. I don't know how many fans you could set in here without having to worry or stress over cables, but a lot. That's one thing I'm noticing is that this thing is very... I'm going to do that so you don't get any glare. You can see what I'm doing. This thing is very big. There is plenty of room to run cables. So I'm going to run one up over the back for our new fan. I'm going to put it into fan 4. Gotcha. Okay, and then I got to put the 4 screws into it, and then we're able to turn this on, and I'll show you guys how the 2 fan kits work together. If you are interested in picking these up, there are links in the video description. No pressure. It does pay, like I said, a single-digit commission, which does help me make videos. It helps buy cameras. These, I've got 4 or 5 cameras. The digital sign we just put up. But again, if you just want to watch, you are always more than welcome here. Okay. And if you just want to win stuff like Jonathan did, man, I'm going to have to get like a monthly box put together for Jonathan just so I can send him his winnings. Lucky guy. Okay. Let's fire this all back up. And then I'll show you. I'm going to turn it this way. So you can see motherboard still has power. We're good. I'm going to go ahead and try the power. There we go. Now, you can't see the upper fans, but I can because they're on. But take a look at this. So those are the fans that I was talking about. That's that new style. So they're very different. There's definitely more RGB that you'll see coming out of these ones. Let me go over here to the left. Okay, so now you can kind of see it on the GoPro does better. But you can see that back one. And you can see those top ones. Now I could put a row. There are spaces here where I could put a row in along the bottom if I want of fans. It looks like that's supported. I would have to use the extra long ones, but basically I can put those 3 fans, it looks like, along the bottom, or a radiator along the bottom, and then mount to it. But definitely a good looking case. Take a look at that. So you can see it. Now what's cool about this is that original RGB, or the remote, should be able to turn them all off and all on. So yeah, they are compatible across those 2 versions. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fans, plus a AIO water pump here going on. Looks pretty sick. So that is a completed build. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. We are not going to benchmark this one or do anything too crazy today, but I do thank you all for tuning in. I'm going to take a quick look at the chat. We did that pretty quick. That was a fast PC build in the Gamdias Neso P1. And I'm actually just realizing I need to put the top back on. So I've got this. You know, before I do that, let me show you what the RGB looks like through the top. So there you go. So you can see that new style. These blades, the fan blades themselves, are not actually RGB. The blades are just catching the light from the ring, and you can increase the brightness of the RGB. So there you go. They weren't all the way up when I showed you the last time. So I can increase the brightness of the RGB here. So, hey, Zachary's in here, man. You came right at the end. I see how it is, you know. You missed Jonathan winning everything, but there you go. So you can see now there's a little bit more brightness. So the M2 series has brighter RGB. There's just no denying it. So the RGB brightness is much higher on those, but the styles are completely different. If you want the RGB like this style back here, that is going to be the M3 kit, the M3 fan kit that I've got right here that I showed you guys. If you want the larger, more traditional RGB, that's going to be this other style. So there you go. I'm going to put the top back on this case, and then I'm going to do a bunch of pictures for Instagram and TikTok. I don't have my link tree up yet, but if you guys want to follow me on any of those other socials, it's usually thenetguy.com or thenetguy. And there will be some big channel changes coming soon. I can't, some of you know what's going on, but can't disclose all of it just yet. We're still working everything out. I want to thank the show sponsor today, Gamdias. Again, no money changed hands on this one, but they sent out this wonderful case with all that RGB. Oh, see, now I'm blocking my own self with my lights there in the studio. So yeah, I've got RGB all over. I'm going to add the other fan kit down below here when I get a sec, just to give us a full-blown RGB effect. But this is the Neso P1 case. Very capable, very versatile ATX build. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will catch you guys all in the next one.